When I looked at the question for the day, how are you thinking about your philosophy major now? The first thing that came to mind was that studying philosophy was a really good fit for me because I'm naturally curious. Philosophers, it seems, are a curious lot. We're curious about the nature of our souls, the nature of other souls. We're curious about the nature of the universe. We're curious about what goes on in the mind of God, little things like that. The philosophy department here gave me a great gift, which was to help me develop my skills that would help me satiate my curiosity. It helped me develop my critical thinking skills, creative thinking skills, my good questioning skills, my listening skills, keeping an open mind. I'm grateful for that. When I left Gustavus and entered the work world, I started noticing something about what was going on in the work world, which was that a lot of people were not happy in their jobs. They were not engaged in what they were doing. This both puzzled me and distressed me to some extent. And then I read that the Gallup organization every year did a survey of the American workplace, and they too found that something like 65% of the American workforce was unhappy in their jobs. So I reflected on this. I talked to colleagues about it. I read the management literature on it. But still I couldn't find a way to address this problem. Until some years ago, I was reading some human resources management literature, and I came across a term, emotional intelligence. And when I first saw that term, I thought it was one of these terms spawned by the internet and social media and was being bandied about. But my curiosity took hold, and I decided to see if there was anything scholarly written on emotional intelligence. And indeed there was. There was a wealth of information, several decades of research on this topic of emotional intelligence. My investigations took me to the work of a pioneer in the field of emotional intelligence, Dr. Reuven Bar-On, that's spelled B-A-R-O-N, for those of you taking notes. Reuven Bar-On was a clinical psychologist, and he noticed early in his practice that he had a number of clients who were very bright, had high IQs, were quite capable, but they weren't being successful in their lives or their careers. And he identified this lack of success as low emotional intelligence. So he was interested in this relationship, or to see if there was any correlation between strong cognitive abilities, or high IQ, and low emotional intelligence. So he spent the next 12 years developing a psychometric tool, which he eventually called the EQI, the Emotional Quotient Inventory, that would measure a person's emotional intelligence. And the EQI is both a valid and reliable tool. It's been used all over the world now. And one of the findings from applying the EQI to thousands of people is that there is no correlation between IQ and EQ. In other words, you can have the genius of a rocket scientist, but still have no friends. Enter Daniel Goleman. Daniel Goleman is also a pioneer in the field of emotional intelligence. He has worked on the scholarly end. He has also worked on the popularizing end of emotional intelligence, writing books for lay audiences and doing YouTube videos and so on. And after looking at over 30 years of research, Daniel Goleman has concluded that emotional intelligence has twice the impact on sustainable performance as cognitive abilities and technical knowledge combined. I find that astonishing. Emotional intelligence has twice the impact on your success as your IQ and your subject specialty combined. This has implications for the philosophy major. On the one hand, philosophy students develop the critical thinking skills, the logical reasoning skills, the communication skills. These are all reflections of IQ, cognitive ability. On the other hand, philosophers tend to be introspective, self-aware, understanding of their strengths and weaknesses, aware of their unique position in the world. These are reflections of EQ, emotional intelligence. So my suggestion for the philosophy department is that it intentionally integrate awareness of and development of emotional intelligence through the philosophy major, because that will enable philosophy students to be more successful in their personal and professional lives after they leave Gustavus.